My name is Michael Tom. I'm a director of BSPN Architects. I'm also the project architect for the redevelopment of SMB Building A at Federation University in Ballarat. It's also known as the Cooperative Centre of Excellence. This is an image of the building when it was constructed originally in around about 1900. This is the SMB campus. I'm not too sure if you're familiar with it, but School of Mines Ballarat is what SMB stands for. The campus is highlighted with the red boundary, and the building is highlighted in blue. This is an internal shot of the building as it was around about the turn of the 1900s. It was originally set up as a science building. It had metallurgy and geography as well. And this was a real point of reference to us, to what we were trying to get back to a little bit. The building had been modified, you'll see this as I go through the presentation, extensively over 120 years, but it was very generous spaces within the building, a lot of natural light. There was a lot of good things about the bones of this building. This is a shot from a courtyard on the eastern side of the building with an open terrace and stairwell. It was pretty much a yearly activity that people would gather on the steps and on the terrace, have their photo taken, both students and academics. Everyone would sort of get dressed up into their finest. This is a site plan of the building. So it's a U-shaped floor plan, main entry on Lydiard Street on the western side, through to that courtyard that I talked about with the staircase, open veranda, and on the eastern side is the Botanic Garden, which is covered by a heritage listing. The building is also covered by a heritage listing. This is the demolition plans across the 3 levels. You can see that we pretty much stripped the building back to its bare bones, removing all of the introduced elements, partitions, ceilings. It had become away from being a learning building. It became an academic building, administration, those sorts of elements were contained within the building. This is an internal image of what we found when we started the project. Suspended ceilings below those pressure metal ceilings. Luckily, they were pretty much intact above all of this, with various holes for various bits and pieces. The building was actually only about 1/3 air conditioned, and pretty much the base building fabric was intact. This is an image of the internal courtyard as it was. The terrace had been enclosed sometime in the 1960s for weather control. It is Ballarat, it gets a bit chilly. And the staircase there, that was, all the mechanical plant was located underneath the stair there. These are the 3 floor plans that we developed in conjunction with the stakeholder groups and the university. The central part of the project was the introduction of an atrium within that courtyard, which allowed us to insert a lift and some tiered seating and a staircase that sort of paid homage to that photographic opportunities that had been in place for over 120 years. And it was even related to the positioning of the lift. We wanted to move the lift out of the way. I should move on to the next slide. So one of the other aspects we wanted to maintain was the vista through the building. You enter the building from Lydiard Street, come through the main entry, and it's pretty much a vista straight away through to the Botanic Gardens beyond. That was the format of the building when it was constructed over 120 years ago, and we wanted to maintain that. So positioning the lift just off centre to allow the circulation corridor to flow through to the Botanic Gardens. This is a sectional axonometric of the building with a heritage fabric surrounding the internal atrium space, the tiered seating and the staircase, and then at the upper level we introduced a suspended lunchroom, which was offset from the heritage building. The lunchroom is one of those things, it's where people gather and talk, and it was more of an incidental learning space, and it became a sort of central element to that first floor. So another sectional axonometric in the other direction, showing the link through from Lydiard Street on the left-hand side, through the original entry and lobby space with a bluestone staircase, through to the atrium. One of the elements that we were able to sort of reintroduce was that feeling of a terrace. So the terrace looks out into the atrium, that had been enclosed and it sort of lost its nature. And we included a sort of a 3-storey glazed element on the eastern side to allow that openness to the Botanic Gardens. This is the Lydiard Street streetscape. We've got Building P on the left, Building A in the centre, and Building B beyond. It's the 3rd oldest university campus in Australia, behind Melbourne Uni and University of Sydney. This is the front elevation of Building A. We had a new ramp and staircase to provide DDA compliant access through the building. It's a view of the eastern side of the building with the Botanic Gardens below us and the introduced sort of courtyard elements with an open balcony on the eastern side of the upper level. This is inside the atrium with the staircase, terraced seating, lift in the centre there. All of the building services elements were contained in that floor, so we've got air conditioning, sound, acoustics. The university was looking to move towards a cooperative style of education, so all of the spaces are highly connected. There's a lot of technology that's come into a very old building, which was quite complicated to coordinate across all of our engineering and specialist consultants, while allowing the building to retain its heritage character. This is the tiered seating, the lift beyond. This is a view from up at that ground floor level through the atrium space out to the Botanic Gardens beyond. This is just a casual seating area on the terrace, which allows use of some space. Oh, it's true. This is the lunchroom at the upper level. The lunchroom looking out towards the Botanic Gardens. This is one of the learning spaces on the lower ground floor. You can see how much technology has been introduced into this building. The cooperative learning was driving a whole lot of the planning around education spaces, the links to adjoining spaces. They really wanted a dynamic mix of spaces with various uses. This is actually an image of the same room that was in the original heritage image with the laboratory, which is now a design and thinking space, highly connected. We used an acoustic ceiling treatment that was actually supported off the walls that allowed us to reticulate all of the cabling requirements. We've got microphones, speakers, lighting, sensors, a whole array of elements that they needed for these cooperative learning spaces. I'll just quickly run through the rest. So again, another classroom space, an adjoining meeting area, another classroom. It's a meeting room on the first floor. We really wanted to create a dynamic mix of learning environments. The heritage stairwell, a focus group room. Yeah, and the last image. Completed on time and on budget.